Good evening, everybody. I'm Diane Dimitri. I'm a speaker, an author, an entrepreneur, and a master mindset mentor. I've been teaching and leading teams of people for well over 40 years now, and welcome to Power Chat. Each week I'll be sharing some of my insights and success strategies that I've developed over all these years with my master mindset method, and I'm hoping that these will help you to improve your health, your wealth, your happiness, your lifestyle, and your relationships. So if you're here with me, please say hello. And as we go, please drop your comments or questions in. So at the end, I'll do my best to come back and to answer them. I'm here to help, so please do interact with me. It's always wonderful to have you here. And can I say, this is our 10th episode, and thank you to all of those fabulous people who've been joining me each week. I do know that you're getting benefit from them, and I love giving this advice and this knowledge that I've accrued over these years as well. So Amber's with me already. Hi there, Amber. It's great to have you. And just so that you know, at the end, we're going to do a little bit of housekeeping tonight. So I'll probably sign off, and then we'll have a little chat after that as well. So shall we begin? Tonight, I'm looking at how gratitude changes you and changes your brain. Because gratitude is a wonderful energy. Hello, Tracy. Gratitude is a wonderful energy that we actually underestimate. So tonight I wanted to share with you some of the research that's been done on gratitude so that you get a better understanding of it. So let's begin, shall we? Many religions and philosophies have long extolled the benefits of practicing gratitude. For many of us, particularly the baby boomers as such, we grew up with gratitude. We grew up in homes with Christian-based homes, whether they were religious or not. Our parents were probably Christian here in Australia. And we grew up being encouraged to say our prayers at night. So before we went to bed, we would say our prayers and we would give thanks for our mum and dad and for, our wonderful life, even though it was very working class. And we're also encouraged to give thanks by saying grace at dinner time, at meal times. Not all of us, but it's sort of part of our heritage in many ways for the baby boomers. And I think, unfortunately, that the idea of giving thanks and being grateful has dissipated over the last couple of generations. And I think we are worse for that as far as our ability to connect with each other is concerned. So gratitude, in short, is the ability to count our blessings. And the lovely thing is that science over the last decade has delved deeper into gratitude, and they've discovered through their studies that practicing conscious active gratitude is good for our health and our well-being, which for those of us who grew up practicing gratitude and giving thanks for our lives, we all knew that because we had felt it, we'd had the experience of it. So let's look at the research, shall we? There was a study of 300 people. I know it's not a big sample, but it was a study of 300 people who were diagnosed with clinically low mental health. And they all reported issues of anxiety and depression. So they took this control group of 300 people and they divided it into three groups of 100. Now, everyone individually received counselling during this study. So they all had individual counselling as well. So the first group, they encouraged to actually write down all the negative experiences that they'd had and the negative emotions that they suffered and felt held them back in their life. The second group was actually a control group, and they weren't encouraged to write their experiences at all. And the third group was a group that was encouraged to actually write a gratitude letter. And they were to write a gratitude letter to another person for each of the 3 weeks of the study. So they were the three groups. And what they discovered at the end of the study and further on from the study is that those who wrote the gratitude letter reported significantly better mental health, not just for the time, but for 4 to 12 weeks after the writing exercise. and the researchers were impressed with a simple gratitude letter. And the researchers observed that gratitude affects us in 4 ways. Firstly, gratitude unshackles us from toxic emotions. Those people who were in the group that were encouraged to write their negative experiences and their negative emotions and to put them down on paper did not progress with their mental health very much at all. And the researchers discovered that those who wrote the gratitude letter, because they were putting down positive emotions and positive feelings, actually used the word we more, which indicated that they were actually connecting to community, to a greater concept, actually not being separated from their world. And they found that very, very interesting as an observation. So those who wrote the gratitude letter, aside from having lots of positive emotions and positive feelings, were using the collective we more, which, as we know, is vitally important to us because we all live in community. And of course, when we shift our focus away from toxic emotions, which we've talked about before here, we change our energy and we change our health. And this particular study actually demonstrated that quite quantifiably. Make the shift away from the toxic emotions, shift that focus, and you will improve your health. The second thing is that gratitude helps even if you don't share it. Only 23% of the people in the gratitude letter writing group shared their letter with the other person or the 3 other people over the course of the study. But they still got the same results as far as long-term results up to that 12-week mark. So the benefit of gratitude is not dependent on communicating it with another person. The third thing the researchers discovered is that gratitude benefits can take time. It's a little bit like that old shampoo ad, if you remember it. It won't happen overnight, but it will happen. And that's what they discovered. It's like you have a gratitude bank in the metaphorical universe. And every time you make a deposit of gratitude and thankfulness, you're actually compounding the interest in it. And that over time, those deposits will actually improve your health more and more and more. So the key here is, of course, is to be patient, not to be practicing gratitude and then going, oh, well, what happened? Nothing, don't feel anything. So it does take a bit of time. And the fourth thing that they realized is that gratitude has lasting effects on the brain. They did MRI scans to measure the brain activity of all of the people in the study, and it showed greater neural sensitivity in the medial prefrontal cortex. That's a brain area that's associated with learning and decision making for those people who actually did the gratitude letter writing exercise. That was significant because it suggested to the researchers that people who are more grateful are actually training their brain to be more sensitive to the experience of gratitude down the line in their life, which of course contributes to improved mental health over time. And also, if you're training your brain through gratitude and improving the areas of learning and decision making, therefore, it would go hand in hand that you probably become better at learning and making better decisions. So gratitude and, of course, its partner, appreciation, they're a mindset technique. It's a mindset technique that we can cultivate and we can use to remind ourselves and that there is good stuff going on in our lives. We tend to forget that all the time. We get distracted. So gratitude shifts our perspective and our priority onto what is truly important in life. Gratitude, understand, doesn't make problems and threats disappear. No, it doesn't do that, but it helps us master our mindset, it empowers us, and it energizes us to take aligned, purposeful action. It's a little bit like that glass half full, glass half empty, that we all know, that image. And of course, the optimist will always see the glass half full, and the pessimist will always see the glass half empty. And of course, it's the optimists who are actually practicing gratitude all the time. And if we're really practicing gratitude, we're just going to be thankful for the glass. Whether it's half full or half empty, doesn't matter. There's a glass there. We have a glass. So if we regularly practice conscious active gratitude, not just do it by rote and go through the motions, we can actually make gratitude a habit. And that's what we want. We want it to be a habit, so we're not thinking about it. So there are 6 ways to actually anchor gratitude in to make it a habit. And this is what the researchers discovered. The first thing is to once in a while think about death and loss. I know it might sound a little morbid, but consider it if you will. According to studies, that if we contemplate our endings and our last days, as it were, it makes us more grateful for the life we currently have. So if we're projecting into the future and going, that could be me in 20, 30, 40, 50 years' time, it gives us pause to consider what a great life I have now. Look at all the things I can do and I can be, and I have my health. So contemplating death and loss is one way, only occasionally, not all the time, that helps you ground in and anchor in gratitude as a habit. The next way is, and we've heard this expression too, take time to smell the roses. And as far as that's concerned, take time to smell everything. It's about savoring our experiences, because research shows that the more we savor our experiences, the stickier they become in our brain. So research showed in this study that even the simple task of flicking a packet of sugar, granulated sugar, before you put it into the coffee actually makes the experience of drinking the coffee or your tea stickier in the brain, because you've savored it just for that little bit. And there is so many books written on diets and food and everything else. But at the end of the day, if we looked at how do we savor our meals, how do we savor food? How do we savor every moment of our lives? Do we just rush through it? Because if we rush through it and we're not conscious of what we're eating or what we're seeing or what we're hearing or what we're feeling, it's all about being conscious. So when we savor the experiences in our lives, we actually make them stickier in our brain. And that's why ritualizing our meditation practice is important. Sticks it in our brain. Saying prayers at night or giving gratitude at night before we go to sleep, allowing ourselves to relax, sticks it in our brain. And the same as saying grace at meal times, giving thanks, hugging a tree, whatever it is, all of that is about gratitude. And when we savor those experiences, we stick them in our brain. The third point is that we must appreciate the good things in life as gifts and not as birthrights. And we see a lot of this at the moment, because the opposite to gratitude is entitlement. And entitlement will surely bring us undone and decrease our mental health and well-being. Humble people know that life is a gift and that humility brings gratefulness, and that our life is not a right, it is gift. It's a gift that we have. And each moment, if we can appreciate the good things in our life, appreciate that we have a house, appreciate that we have loved ones who care for us, appreciate that we have, green grass here, appreciate that there aren't bombs going off over our heads. It's about, as I've always said, this shift of focus, and that whenever we're humble, We appreciate life more. And I've often said, go outside. I don't know if you noticed, last night was a full moon. I stood outside and I looked at that moon and I thought, you are so far away. And then I thought of all the planets in the solar system, and then our solar system, and then the galaxy, and then the galaxies and trillions of galaxies, and on it goes. When we savor, when we appreciate, when we look for the more in our lives, it gives us pause, and gratitude actually just wells up from in us, and it makes us feel good. The fourth thing to help gratitude become a habit is to be grateful to and for people, not just things. So don't just be grateful for that you have a car and that you have a house and that you have a bed and that you have a roof over your head. When you say thank you to a person, your brain actually registers that something good has happened and that you are more richly enmeshed in a community. So say thank you to people more often. It's important. I have noticed myself, even in the last 10 to 15 years, that people aren't saying thank you as much as they used to. Some people are just grunt. I mean, customer service is nearly a lost art. Seriously. It really is nearly a lost art. And don't we get excited if we find somebody, an actual human being, somewhere on a phone who actually appreciates us and says, thank you for your call. We go, wow, that's fabulous. I haven't heard that for ages. Isn't that sad? A sad indictment of where we are. So be grateful to and for people, because when we say thank you, our brain is registering that. And it's registering it as something good happening to us. And remember, we all know where our focus goes, our energy flows, and results will surely follow. So we're training our brain and we're elevating and resonating our vibration and our resonance. The fifth point that ties into point number 4 is be specifically grateful. This is important. So if you've had a barista who makes you a great coffee, actually say to the barista, this coffee is fabulous. Fabulous, thank you. I often do this and people look at me like I'm a bit crazy, but I actually am specifically grateful. If somebody does something, it doesn't matter how small it is, be specifically grateful. Thank them for what it is that they did, not just a general thank you, because it shows that you're paying attention to what is happening and that you're not just going through the motions. And the sixth point is think outside the box to think outside the box. So gratitude becomes a critical cognitive process because it helps us shift our perspective about the world, and it turns disasters into a stepping stone. I remember many years ago, it was actually 2015, my husband and I owned a resort in Vanuatu. And at that time, the worst cyclone that had ever hit Vanuatu came through and decimated our resort. And we were looking at selling the resort for a year before. And as that cyclone came through and we lost all communication, and my husband was packing to get on the first plane out of here over to the resort, which was still a few days away, he was very anxious about it and very stressed about, what's going to happen? What are we going to do? And I looked at him and I said, this could be the best thing that's ever happened to us. We wanted to get out. We wanted to sell the resort. We couldn't find buyers. Let's look at selling it as it is and not stress about it. And what I was doing was using gratitude as a stepping stone during that disaster. I was thanking the universe, which I was giving thanks that a cyclone had come through, and that was it. That everything had been cut off, you see. The whole aspect of selling a running resort was finished. We couldn't get buyers. So it was basically, there it is. That came in, so let's move on. Use it as a stepping stone. So if we're willing, we can find a reason to be grateful no matter what appears to be going on. When we get to that point of gratitude, that's when we're truly mastering it as a habit. And remember, always smile, Don't go, yeah, thanks. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, thanks. Oh God, I have to do gratitude. Not going to work. It's about the energy, everybody. Remember, it's about the energy and the resonance. So always smile. Every time you smile, crinkle your eyes, open your mouth, show your teeth. You have to do those things, okay? That releases your pharmacological drug factory in your brain. The endorphins go and bang, it's stickier. It's stickier in our brain. One of the things I did a long time ago was really consciously endeavor not to frown, right? I still have a very deep frown line because I don't believe in Botox. And I had that frown line there in my baby photos from 2 weeks of age when I was basically picked up from the hospital. There it was. And so if we need to be conscious, we need to be smiling, we need to be opening our faces as much as we can because it releases the endorphins. Giving thanks, gratitude, makes it stickier in the brain, becomes a habit, and what we're doing is that we are resonating at a higher frequency, so wonderful things will start to come. So gratitude allows us to celebrate and magnify the goodness. And this is another thing I say to people, celebrate, even the little successes, celebrate, magnify the goodness, give thanks for those little things. Gratitude has the power to energize, it has the power to heal, it has the power to bring hope. And in other words, gratitude, in fact, helps us cope in the tough times. And this is something else that the researchers noticed and discovered and observed. You see, none of us feels grateful if we've lost our job or lost our house or our business has been decimated. None of us feels that, but we can be grateful during those times for the other good in our lives. And being grateful, like everything else, is a choice. It's a prevailing attitude that endures and is relatively immune to the ups and downs in the rest of our lives. That's when we're really mastering gratitude. So when disaster strikes, like now, so many people are struggling at the moment, gratitude provides us with a more conscious perspective from which we can view life, whatever's going on, and not be overwhelmed by the circumstance. They discovered that trials and suffering can actually refine and deepen our gratitude if we allow them to do that for us and if we allow ourselves not to take things for granted. So they discovered that in fact crisis can make us more grateful, and that gratitude also helps us with crisis. So it's a beautiful symbiotic relationship. The more grateful we are, the better we can cope with crisis. And when we're in crisis, we can actually be more grateful. So it's this wonderful spiraling add-on effect. So consciously cultivating an attitude of gratitude, in fact, builds up a sort of psychological immune system that can cushion us when we fall. And that's what we need at the moment. We need psychological immune systems, not just the physical immune systems to ward off COVID, but we need psychological immune systems. Shift our focus, master our mindset, and look at all the good that we still have in our lives. I know it's challenging, particularly for those who are still caught in lockdown in Melbourne. But it's really important to consider that gratitude is going to build your psychological immune system. You'll be stronger, more resilient, and you'll be able to generate greater opportunities in your life. You see, the process of remembering how difficult life used to be actually sets up a mental contrast, and our brain loves mental contrasts. So if we think back on how tough things were, and then look at how good things are and find the good. You've actually got to search it out. Find the good, the brain, and be grateful for that, obviously. What that does is it builds up better coping mechanisms. And the brain loves it, and again, we make it stick. And we can reframe all of our past hurts, our past grief, and our past betrayals with grateful thinking. It's all possible. Our brain is fabulous. Our consciousness is beyond fabulous. And we have all of this at our disposal. As I've always said, it's up to us. If it's meant to be, it's up to me. And so gratitude in many ways redeems us from our past. And that's so powerful. And it's so simple. As I've often said, we don't need to get into the dumpster of our past and pick off old scabs and do all that and try to find out why that happened. Don't mess with it. Just practice gratitude. Gratitude is our get out of jail free card. So gratitude is a powerful, transformative energy. And if you practice gratitude, if you are somebody who practices gratitude daily, regularly, you know what I'm talking about, because when you practice it, you can feel the resonance. You can feel the experience. We don't need science or epidemiologists or doctors or anybody else to tell us the power of gratitude, the power of the experience that we have moment by moment in our life. We know that energy is transformative. We know who we are. We know who we are. So we know it feels good for us. So I'm going to leave it there for the moment. I just want to have a quick look at any comments that are over here. Let me see if I can find you and scan through you. Where have you all gone? Let me just get my cursor here. Oh, there we go. Right. So sharing gratitude for another can change the whole trajectory of your day. Yes, it's true, because we can get a little cross with humanity. So it's important, always important to be humble and to see what the truth is in that person too, right? Just their personality isn't who they truly are. That might be who we have to deal with, but deep down, they have a truth that is valuable as well. Michelle says she gives gratitude every morning before you get up. Yes, those few wee quiet moments before the world wakes up. Absolutely. Very true. Very true. Does anybody have any questions on gratitude before I finish? I'm just going to touch on one other thing. In case you do, I'll give you a moment to jot down any questions that you may have. One of the things too that I find that people struggle with many times is grief. And that when they go through grief, when they lose somebody they love, or they lose a treasured pet, or whatever it is, lose a job, lose their partner, go through a divorce, the grief. And the grief can be quite chronic and quite acute. So it can be very, very intense, and it can actually go on for a period of time. Gratitude is a wonderful, transformative tool, energy for coping with grief as well. So that if you are in grief over the loss of whatever it happens to be, and you feel that emptiness, stop and transmute the energy. Don't suppress the grief. You need to allow yourself to be expressive. That's okay. But transmute it and give gratitude. Be thankful for the time. And that's why we have wakes at funerals. Be thankful for the life of the person. Be thankful for the time. Be thankful for the impact that they've made in your life. Gratitude is so healing. So I just wanted to drop that in there as well, because I've had some people recently asking me about how to deal, particularly with people dying with COVID, and not slipping into blame and judgment and anger, and that be in the grief, that's okay, but really practice gratitude, and it will transmute the energy, it will uplift, and it will inspire for a future life. Sally's saying, I use gratitude and humor with my patients with life-altering spinal injuries. Yes, absolutely, and humor is wonderful. It's a marvelous thing as well. Again, it resonates a lighter energy. So what I'd like to do is this week, here's an exercise for you if you like. Write a gratitude letter to somebody. You don't have to send it to anybody. You don't have to send it, but actually go through the process of writing it. And then maybe next week, write another one. Or the next week, write another one. Write it to your dog. Write it to your mother or your father who may be here or may be deceased, to friends, to whoever it is. You may also like to start a gratitude journal, and that is so simple. Just pick a book and start writing down who you give thanks for, what you give thanks for, and every morning, as Michelle says, before she gets up, she goes through gratitude in her mind. The research shows that if we write it down, it has more power in our life, sticks it in our brain a little bit more. So maybe that's something we could all consider, is actually taking pen to paper and writing down what we're thankful for. Gratitude letters, gratitude journal, very simple. Takes maybe, a couple of minutes each morning. And they're wonderful to look back on over the years and to look back on your gratitude journals. And that in itself is the redemption of anything that is going on at the moment that you may not be able to cope with. So that's it for this week, everybody. Please, if you've enjoyed tonight, please click and share, click the share button below the video. I keep forgetting to say this, but you can still share it now. That's great. If you found this helpful and you want more, there are links below the video here. You can read more of my Master Mindset book that also talks about gratitude, 21 chapters, 21 transformative ways to master your life. You can actually learn more at my website, and you can actually get more with my Mindset Mastery Assessment. If you know anybody who would benefit from these masterclasses, please share my posts of when I put them up each Wednesday so that people know. Share the videos. All the videos are on my Facebook page so that you can just send the link. And let's all dare to be more, to do more of what matters and have more of what counts, and to live a life that matters as well. So until next time, bye for now, but would you stick around for one moment longer? But I can at least edit the video here. Bye for now.